so pleased to have the commissioner of the Big Ten, Jim Delany, joining us now. Commissioner, what does it mean to you to have the Big Ten tournament back where it started in the city where the Big Ten is based?
It's exciting. You know, being back in Chicago is terrific. The month of March is, I think, a favorite month for many of us. And so I was at our women's tournament out at Hoffman the other night. We had a great game between Ohio State and Maryland. Really maybe the best women's game that I've seen in a number of years. Some really talented young players, and I think both of those teams will be in the NCAA tournament, and the way they're playing, they'll probably win some games in the tournament. So really excited about the tournament. United Center is a great place. I know our players and coaches love to play here, and it's really the home of the Big Ten. We have 300,000 Big Ten alums living in Chicago. We've had 9 or 10 different teams in and out of the top 50. We've had 5 different teams get ranked during the course of the year. 2 teams in the top 10, 3 in the top 25 now. I think it's a wide open tournament, really. I mean, I think you're going to see surprises not only in this event, but also in the dance later in the month.
Well, Commissioner, you talk about the tournament. Indiana, Chicago, but we're adding now D.C. and New York.
Yep.
What does that say, about the conference as a whole, and how much it has grown to be able to go to those different venues and now participate?
Well, I think it's a great footprint. I think we wanted to get to D.C. as well as New York as soon as we could. Those are areas with great high school students, great high school players, great venues, and believe it or not, a lot of Big Ten fans. In fact, somebody told me that other than Cleveland, D.C. has more Ohio State grads than any other city in the country.
Okay.
And in New York City, Wisconsin, Michigan, Northwestern, huge fan bases. So when I was traveling up and down the coast this year, and it was at Maryland and Rutgers, I think they sold out 6 of their 8 football games. I was at the Wisconsin game, the Wisconsin-Maryland game. Mm-hmm. It's an active crowd. It's an active crowd. They fit right in.
Sure.
So it's exciting to have those 2 events out there, I guess, in 17 and 18. But as you noted, to be in Chicago 1 year, be in Indy, then D.C., then New York. If you're a young player who comes in this year, you get a chance to play in those 4 venues. Pretty special experience, I'd say.
I agree. I want you to take your commissioner's hat off, put your analyst hat on.
Yep.
How many teams from the Big Ten are going to get in the NCAA tournament?
That's a good question. I'll tell you one thing. I think we could be disappointed. Mm-hmm. I also think we could be celebrating, too. Okay. I think there's a range there. And I think it depends upon how certain teams play out. Yep. I think that we probably have 4 or 5 teams in that probably could maybe lose a game and still be okay.
Sure.
I think we have 2 or 3 teams that if they win some games can play their way in. Yep. And I think if they don't play their way in, then I think that they're probably going to be challenged. As you know, the committee's charge is not to do it by conference, but to take the best 34 at-large teams. There have been a couple upsets out there, that it could steal a bid.
Right. Yep.
You saw Belmont beating Murray State. That's a big one. I think Northern Iowa is going to go regardless.
Yes.
And Wichita State's obviously going to go.
Sure.
So that one didn't take. So really you have to watch closely to see how teams on the bubble finish it. Yeah. Those last 2 or 3 games, they always say the first impression matters. I think Ohio State proved in football, make a strong closing argument if you want to be covered. Yeah. Because the games in November count on the stat sheet, but the games in March, games in March are the ones that you see the last. They're the closing arguments to the committee.
I want to talk a little bit of business with you. There was a lot of publicity here over the last few weeks about the year of readiness.
Yep.
You had the athletic directors in town to talk about that. And, of course, what it is in essence, saying that in the first year, basketball and football players would sit out freshman ineligibility.
Yep.
I know that you had said the Big Ten wasn't going to go at this alone,
Yep.
that there are other conferences that you want to have discourse with about it.
Yep.
Bring us up to date on kind of where that stands.
Well, nothing much has changed. What we want to talk about is the centrality of education within the college world. This is college. I believe young people should have a choice. If they want to pursue professional sports, that's good. That's choice. We don't stop that from happening. That's NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, players union, and owners. But we have to make sure in our system is that it's college football and college basketball. So what we wanted to do is get an item or an issue on the table for discussion. It's probably, to be honest with you, uphill. But you know what's really interesting? There was a lot of criticism about when we went from 4-year scholarships to 1-year scholarships. I want to go back to a 4-year scholarship. There was a lot of criticism when we gave up $15 a month. We're going to get the cost of education. That's a good thing. Everybody thought those are things that we needed to do. I agree with that. Now, it's interesting. At the same time they took away the $15 in the 4-year scholarship, you know what they also did? They made freshmen eligible. Oh, we can't go back there. That's too much of a change. Right. Well, we can go to cost of education. The only thing I want to make sure is if we're going to be college sports, and if college sports is going to be sustainable, it's got to be real. They can't be opportunities that are not real. They have to be real basketball and real education. And so I would just say this. Coach Smith passed away about 2 weeks ago, and he was always a proponent, and he felt that there was a year of transition that was good. And I would say it's more necessary now than it was in the 60s and 70s, because a lot of kids come in there with the idea of coming and leaving. Even though they stay, that may not be the main reason that they're thinking about. But we know in college sports it's got to be college. And if it's not seen as college, I think it's going to be hard that people aren't going to take a lot of shots at it.
A lot of issues, an exciting time for college athletics, a time of incredible change, though, as well. Commissioner Jim Delany, always at the forefront of it. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes with us, and we look forward to enjoying the tournament with you here in Chicago over the next 5 days.